Back again. Big time music, talk show, awards. How's it going today?
Oh, it's going pretty good, man. How about you?
Not too bad. I was just looking around, doing some research, and I was laughing, having fun looking at some of these stories. Hello, I'm my old friend. We could insert that song in the middle of our breaks.
I don't know. It's copyrighted material that'll get us struck from YouTube these days.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I don't know, man. YouTube had. I think what YouTube is doing is they're just going into the. They're trying to push their video service into the mainstream, so they have to push out everybody else.
Right. I think they're transitioning from what they originally started as, which was a platform for users to practicing social democracy. And now they've just gotten too big to where they're just changing the model, and now they're just turning into standard media, which has a liberal bias, and they don't want us around anymore.
Yeah. I started dieting, and right now I'm not eating during the day, and I'm just eating at night after work, and that's it. But I am doing a juice or two during the daytime.
Well, it's whatever you can. It's basically, I've come to the conclusion with the diets and stuff. It's whatever you can maintain that works for your body, that's healthy. There's too many. You could lose weight on any kind of diet. It's what's going to keep you, the weight off.
Well, I think I'm to the point now with exercising that I can keep the weight off. It's losing the weight.
Yeah.
That is harder, because I haven't really, as far as I know, I haven't really gained any weight. But I certainly can't seem to lose it.
Well, I can tell I can put it on pretty easy, and it just stays.
Who can't, right?
No, I'm just saying at my age versus, it's not like I'm pigging out or anything. It's just that every little thing adds up. I'm going back to the gym in the next week after I finish with this. My breathing's back to normal now, so I'm not going to be hacking and coughing while working out, which I didn't want to do. So do light exercise, just consistent like I was doing before I got my 2 injuries, which were kind of unforeseen, and just lifestyle stuff. It's just lifestyle stuff. I like moving. I like exercise. I always said it would have been better to be married to a gal that likes to be out and about and doing things, because you wouldn't put on the weight. But that's a playmate thing. That goes back to college days where you got people hanging around, want to do stuff.
Yeah, I find most people these days don't want to do stuff outdoors. Don't want to get sweaty. They're absolutely conditioned to being indoor and, feeling clean all the time. They don't ever want to feel dirty.
Right. Yep. And, I had that discussion just even about my son and up north. I said, how many snowmen have you built this year? And he hadn't built any with all that snow up there. And it's like, and his mom commented on how she doesn't see any of the kids building snowmen up there. They just stay inside and play their video games. And it's like, well, kids used to horse around the snow quite a bit, but that goes for down here too. Beautiful sunny days and the kids are in their room playing video games. So yeah, there's definitely a downturn in activity. There's definitely a downturn in getting people to engage both mentally and physically. I think that's what was great about football and things like that before, outside of the concussions, was that you had to learn to play something at a accelerated speed where the muscle memory would take over. And you only get muscle memory after doing repetition, thousands of times. And so these kids aren't getting muscle memory. And I remember trying to teach my stepson how to throw a pass, and he couldn't throw a pass. After a couple passes, he wouldn't throw any more balls. He just was mad, and that ended football.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, you got to remember that it takes about 1,000 times of actually doing it before your body remembers how to do it. And you're giving up at 2, and you don't understand that you can't be like a video game and be a perfect Madden NFL passer unless you learn how to actually hold the ball and have a strong enough arm and get the spiral and all those things. And they weren't. They're just not up for it. Their body, they don't train their mind and their body the way we learn. We didn't have the video stimulation of the TVs. That was something you did when you were exhausted from playing outside. That you came inside for lunch or you came inside for dinner. But you were pretty much outside riding bikes.
Oh, yeah, man. When I wasn't going to school, I was outdoors most of the day.
Oh, yeah. And that was wonderful.
Going to go find my friends, going to hang out, just, having fun.
And I know that today everybody has been trained to think about pedophiles and predators around every corner. And moms freak out about their kids going out that's where you got this whole concept of play dates from. We had no play dates back when I was growing up. It was, you stay outside, don't come in until dark.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's pretty much how it was. And you just had to improvise. And so if you played a little basketball, you play some basketball. You play some football, go running around the woods, go down to the creek, go look for shark's teeth. These kids don't do any of that, really.
And this is the Chad and Tim Show. All right, so I'm going to have to find the push-to-talk. I guess I'm going to have to make one. Now that I'm messing around with the Arduino and doing some electronics, I'll just make my own push-to-talk.
Okay. So you're just talking about a little button
That's it.
To interrupt?
Yeah, well, I'm actually using one with Skype right now, so you're not hearing everything that's going on when I'm not pushing my push-to-talk for Skype.
Right.
But the way I have the recording set up, the mic is still picking up all the noises in my office, and I don't want that to occur while you're talking because I can't edit that out.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So it's not like you're not taping in a sound booth, which funnels out all the external noise. If you move around and adjust things, you're picking up the sounds.
Right, exactly.
Well, that's why it's the Chad and Tim Show, because it's unprofessional, and our sound team, our sound editors and video, we fired them before we even started the show because they were asking for money.
Who needs sound engineers? They like you say, they cost money, man. We can't have that.
Right. And so we said, hey, guys, don't even apply. We can't afford to pay you zero, so, you're just going to have to go. What are we discussing?
Well, you know what, Tim? We can talk about anything you want to talk about.
That's right. What were the things on my mind? The things that were on my mind were like, I was very, as far as politics, I was very entertained with Trump is going to Davos, Switzerland. That to me is absolutely just entertaining because I don't think a person could go to a more opposite place what his position is. I mean, that is the center of the New World Order and their technocratic slavery that they want to implement through fascism and communism globally. And here comes Trump with a classic Americana capitalism in it. I just go, it's just so entertaining. I hope I get to see some of when he speaks his full speech there. I'll get my popcorn and just enjoy it.
Well, what if Trump was never part of that cabal of power in the world? And by becoming the president, which nobody expected him to really pull off, becoming president and him going to Davos, that is his entry into that part of our society. What if he's going to join them?
Well, I mean, I don't know if that is necessarily what's going on. I think there's a difference between there's billionaires out there, there's wealthy people out there that have a moral compass and believe in individuals and families and communities and things like that. And then we have this group. And this group is, this is the blue bloods that believe that you were born to rule and the peasants are peasants, and you should never allow them to ever get to the point where they think that they can take care of themselves or have a right to take care of themselves.
Right. But I mean, compared to blue bloods, right, you could say that Trump was more or less just, part of the bourgeois. And now having become president, he has injected himself into that society of royals. And now he is becoming, maybe he's going there to receive his anointment.
Right. Just to join the crowd and make peace with them instead of getting assassinated and going against the grain.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, that's always a possibility. I mean, I'm not saying that he's any. I never talk down about him like other people talk down about him and make excuses for him. I like Trump the way he is. I'm in the crowd that says let Trump be Trump, because he is like the wrecking ball, and I have enjoyed watching him smash the Republicans and smash the Democrats all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't foresee him necessarily going over there and doing that, because I think that he ran to become president because he has a real distaste for this group of people. I think underneath the surface, he really does not like this ruling class. Well, we'll see. You can't read what's in a person's heart,
Well, that's true. I mean, if what people feel about Trump is true, then we can expect him to go there and become part of that society. And if he is, as you say, the hero that we need, then maybe he will just tell him off. But I doubt it.
Well, I think he's much more. I think this guy is sharp. I mean, he's very sharp. He knows how to push, get a reaction out of you. It's almost like he's doing judo. He comes in and kind of acts like he's punching you in the stomach, and then you react to it. You're off balance, and then he just steps out of the way as you come at him, and he just has a way of throwing you off balance.
Is it like 4D chess?
I don't know. I mean, some people say that kind of stuff. I think he is smart with how he comes in. He establishes a position, aggressively. He comes in aggressively and establishes a position and gets the other people to blink.
It's 10-dimensional chess.
I mean, I think some people go a little far with this. I think he's just he's just one of these forceful personalities that's part of his shtick. That's part of his gimmick. When he knows you haven't met him before and he hasn't met you, and this is what he does with people he meets, and then he assesses where what kind of person this is and how they're going to react. So I think he's pretty sharp. He's into making deals. He's into getting his way.
Yeah, I think Trump is one of those people that they're intelligent,
mm-hmm.
but their demeanor is such that it kind of camouflages that intelligence. People don't pick up on it, and people will look at a person like Trump and assume that he's not an intelligent person when he is a cool, calculating person.
Well, I mean, for somebody who's not intelligent, he sure has messed up the whole ruling class and the media.
Yeah.
They're freaking out. I mean, and if you think that this is just a game and he's just playing his role, I think their reaction should show you that these people can't keep it together. I mean, they're on meltdown. They're feeding on each other in their crazy hissy fits over him.
Now, it may be just because I've almost completely tuned out of mainstream news media, but it feels like the rhetoric is starting to subside just a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit is starting to subside.
Well, I think that what you see is that if people actually do make more money and people actually get better employment opportunities, they'll have a tendency not to speak out as much. And I'm really not sure what the Democratic or I just call them the Communist Party at this point. They don't represent anything that I can identify as American. Right now, they're just ridiculous. I mean, they just want the state to rule, and they want to take all the money from everybody and turn us into Venezuela.
You mean you don't like their cultural revolution that they're running right now?
Right. It's just straight up Marxism. It's people trying to figure out, well, how can we get them to vote with us? You're not going to get them to vote with you. They're a one high-minded group of Marxists that, the ends justify the means, and so here they come, and they wanted to. That's what Hillary was for. Hillary was the takedown one, go ahead and fundamentally change our whole country. And so I don't care one way or other. To work with these people is insane. I mean, tell me what part of their party represents anything American. It represents a managed statism, state system that takes away the individual rights of the person and just dictates to them. And
well, I think idealistically, they do represent what America stands for to an extent. If you look at their all-inclusivity spiel that they give people, that they tell people that everybody is welcome, that they want to make society open for everybody, I think that is an American ideal. But what they want to do is they want to make it open for the people that they like, and they want to definitely close off for the people they don't like. So as long as you support them, they're all open and inclusive and friendly. If you don't support them, they're willing to bash your head in and call you Nazis.
Well, and that was always my shtick when I talk to people about the tolerance movement. Anybody that comes in preaching tolerance for certain groups of people are the most intolerant group of people that you're ever going to run into. Because when you don't agree with their position, guess what? You are a Nazi, like you're saying.
And it's okay to punch Nazis, right?
Right. It's okay to shoot Nazis. It's okay to kill them and imprison them and everything else, This is the classic march to the gulag. I mean, it's just down the road from us if these people had their way, because you're stupid, you're backwards, you come from an era that's long gone, you need to be re-educated. And then you end up with that whole shtick again of the 100% failed communist system, and they're going to implement it all over again. And of course, like the Maoist model, which Hillary Clinton was following, you get rid of all the educated people because they're the ones that cause trouble, because they know what's going on. And you get the dumbed down kids that are sitting there listening to whatever their feeds are that come through Facebook and their phone. And that's your new minions. So I could see it the way it was going. We all could see it. And like I said, I've enjoyed every minute of Trump doing his Trump stuff. I don't have a problem with it. It's just watching these communists just flounder all over the place. And Davos is the folks who supported statism and communism as a management system. They know it doesn't work. They know communism doesn't work, but this is a techno-feudalism that they're trying to implement. And at Davos, we're going to hear they're going to roll out all this stuff on the blockchain and all this machine learning stuff. There's going to be a lot of tech there.
Hey, man. Hey, there's nothing wrong with blockchain. There's nothing wrong with cryptocurrencies.
No,
I like cryptocurrencies. I like my blockchain overlords.
My problem is what they're going to do at some point is they're going to say, oh, look at the poor people. They're getting suckered with the scam cryptocurrencies. And they're saying, we need to regulate this industry. And guess what? Now we're going to regulate it, and you have to enter our gate of regulation. And then they're controlling cryptocurrency just like they were controlling the fiat currencies. So, I mean, there's an event down the road where that I'm sure has already been planned. I mean, I like the wild, wild west of the cryptocurrencies because there's two things that I think feed it and that people are attracted to it. One is they feel like they're fighting the system, and, they're going anti-centralized bank, anti-Rothschild. And the other part is they just a plain greed factor when you can make thousands and thousands of dollars in a day just because you got in first.
Yeah, well, I don't know how I can turn, money into thousands of dollars a day, but I did turn $400 into $1,200 in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
With crypto.
Right. So to me, it's kind of like the Niners, 49ers, the old gold rush. Crypto became the gold rush. The young guys, the young savvy guys, tech guys that saw the Ethereum and the different Bitcoin kind of things, could see that the way the net's going to go, it's going to go digital. and that the old system is built on paper. It's obvious there's cryptocurrencies is here to stay. Blockchain's here to stay. There's some more advanced versions of blockchain I think that are going to be rolled out that are much more advanced than blockchain.
Yeah,
all of it's neat. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I think we're, like you said, we're at the early stages of it. I don't think Bitcoin is necessarily going to be around very much longer if they can't take care of some of the shortcomings that have cropped up as the price is just shot through the roof. The fees are too high. You can't really use it for low-cost transactions, and a lot of merchants are just not using it where they used to. Right. So you can't really use it as a currency, so then it becomes only a store of value. And, well, let me tell you, man, it's just electrons. It has no intrinsic value. Once the power's turned off, it's gone.
Right. Well, to me, that was the thing with what do you buy in the metals? You buy gold or silver. Well, the obvious was you buy silver because silver's used in industry, but it's also a lower value point, so it's easier to trade in if you were going to trade in. Gold is, you got to definitely, I mean, that's got a lot of value to it, and it's hard to break down and use it as a day-to-day type currency. So I can see what you're saying, that the Bitcoin is very high priced. I guess that's why they sell fractions of it, and I'm sure somebody will inflate that at some point.
Well, right now it looks like it's on a longer term downtrend, kind of a deflation. It's been hovering around 11,000. It's been wanting to dip below 10,000, and at one point it actually did dip below 10,000. So I think it's on a longer-term downward trajectory versus going up.
I see the technology's amazing. The blockchain's amazing. All these digital things are amazing, and they have amazing potential. My problem, as with most people who follow technology, is why do we always have the psychopaths hovering around these things? You know, why do we always have the controllers that we see as the established controllers of currency, either getting behind it or being silent partners in things? Like Peter Thiel is one of these guys with PayPal that has a lot of investments in this type of crypto stuff and backing things, and you wonder what he's up to and what his, is it just going to be another one of these multi-trillionaire corner of the market kind of gambits, and the 1% turns into the 0.5%? It's just the equity. I have not seen the democratization of currency to where the middle class globally is expanding, because that's where you're going to see the democratization of value and currency and buying power. When you see it in the middle class, then you're on to something that's good. Right now, even with all these stock market booms and everything like that, it's still benefiting the 1% much more than it is the little guys, even though we're getting a tax refund.
Yeah, I don't think there's much out there that's going to benefit the middle class. I think it's all about the top 1%. They're the ones in charge. They're the ones that own everything.
So how do you use these technologies? Because still, we don't know who wrote blockchain. Do we know the creators of blockchain? This open source thing that all the currencies, the cryptos, have as the underwriting software for the cryptos.
If I remember correctly, it was some maybe fictitious Japanese guy. I forget his name and I don't have it up right now, but apparently that was the guy that wrote the concept for blockchain. Mm-hmm. But everybody is thinking that he is a fictional character, and it was probably written by a team of unknown developers.
Well, and just the mystery around the origin of blockchain, doesn't that say something? Doesn't that say there's something wrong here?
I don't know. It's open source, so anybody's welcome to look at the code.
But is it open source with a backdoor?
It's open source in that anybody can look at the code, so they can identify the backdoor. And there's probably enough people at this point looking at the code that they would have found the backdoor. But I think if we're talking about official, governmental level, secret society level backdoors, I think that's pretty much already built into our hardware. I mean, look at the most recent vulnerability of Intel CPUs that basically just open up the CPU to be read like an open book by anybody that knows how to do that. And something else that I learned just yesterday, I haven't really read much about, was that with Intel chips and even with AMD chips, there is actually a CPU within the CPU. And for Intel, it's called the Intel Management Environment. And what this is a separate autonomous CPU that is running within each CPU chip that Intel ships. And it, as long as it has access to power, it is running even when the machine is physically off. You can actually disconnect the machine from power, and if I understand correctly, it will draw power from the battery on the motherboard. And this allows it to accept instructions externally and then feed those instructions to the CPU to execute without any interaction from the operating system whatsoever. And since it doesn't require any interaction from the operating system, that means it is completely autonomous and independent from the user.
So what would be the motivation for creating a chip like that?
Control.
Is it just control, or is it kind of like a battery backup system so that you don't start from square one every time the power surges and goes off?
This Intel management system, from what I understand, again, I only read about it, started reading about it yesterday, but it serves no function for the user. The instruction codes and microarchitecture codes for this Intel management environment are almost entirely unknown outside of Intel. So it's there, it's running, and nobody can use it except Intel.
So, all right, well, that gets me back to the kind of fascist globalist model of control. When Amazon makes a deal for $600 million with the CIA to run their cloud networking, basically for them, and then you have this Intel with this kind of strange no user benefit technology, you go, the intelligence agencies, are they just the front men for the elites that basically roll out the tech and their public persona? I mean, I'm going conspiratorial here, of course, you can see. But these front shell companies we call IBM or Intel or...
I look at all these big companies as pseudo-governmental organizations.
Right. So they may have a public outward display to us, but this type of intelligence that you're talking about with CPUs within CPUs, these management systems for the underlings or the peons, without their okay, did we give our consent to these type of things?
Yes, when you bought the hardware.
Yes, I know that, but that's why they have the microscopic agreements that everybody just clicks on, because it's like it's ridiculous. They even tried to read these things anymore. And so they get you by wanting to use the software you want to use the nice software, but they always have this little trick up their sleeve with manipulating you into some kind of agreement you would never agree to. And so these front companies, it's just, again, that brings me back to blockchain. What's the motivation for blockchain? Oh, well, everybody says it's to take down the central banks. It's to take down the Rothschild system. We all hate the Rothschilds, and everybody's out there. We can get wealthy and spread democracy as we're doing it. Let's all smoke a joint. And so that's the attitude I see out of the young 20-somethings that are putting out the YouTube videos on the greatness of all this stuff.
Well, what are they supposed to do, man? What is anybody supposed to do?
No, I'm just saying that you're using the psychology of the emotion of rebelling against the system, which is perfect for that age, the college age, make the system better. That's always been one of the main things. You go to school so that you can better society. And that's perfect for that age. The revolution is coming from that age group with currency, Bitcoin technology. I'm not being mean to these guys. I'm just saying they're playing on the emotions of this group to push this forward so that the rest of the fiat currency world. My thing is like, how do I maintain any sense of autonomy in a digital world?
You don't.
Yeah.
It's completely dependent upon other systems.
Right. And so, like you just said, there's these things within CPUs that, the users have no concept of what they're there for. And I don't even know how far up the engineering line of Intel that goes before you are aware of this. It's obviously that this stuff was engineered somewhere with almost a kind of an intelligence agency approach to those who need to know. And if you're not in the need to know, you don't know these things. So the higher up you go, the more compartmentalized you get again, just like an intelligence agency.
Well, this would be best considered an open secret at this point. There's even a wiki page, and I'll get that to you so that you can read it.
Okay.
When you have the time. But it's interesting the way they talk about it, because the wiki page kind of explains what it is, what it might be used for, and then goes on to talk about how, well, no one really knows how it's being used because no one outside of Intel has any technical specs on it.
Well, I don't know what I mean. A lot of people always complain that when you bring up issues like this, what are we to do about it? You're talking about this issue. What are we to do about it?
Unless you're willing to live in a cave, there's nothing you can do about it. You just accept it and move on, really.
Mm-hmm. Well, is there such a thing as a governmental system that can, or am I just going utopian here, where there's an integrity within the system to maintain a sense of humans first and not psychopaths?
You mean maintain a constitutional government as written by our founding fathers?
Well, it seems to be the last one of these things that's going to be tolerated. I mean, Hillary was being put in to take it down once and for all, and Obama just ignored it when he was in office completely. I find it totally refreshing that we have a reprieve here. I mean, to me, it's kind of like it was a wake-up call for a lot of people that are who lack sensitivity to the world around them, that something very wrong is going on here, and that there's something going on within our government that is very wrong, and the rule of law has seemed to disappear for a certain group of people.
Yeah, it's amazing. I look at where we are now versus where I thought we were when I was younger, and it's completely different. We've become the enemy that we feared, which was the USSR. And at this point, I'm not willing to rule out that somebody has a friggin' time machine and they're actually going back and changing things that are reflecting on our current state.
Well, that's the whole time machine concept that people like to get into, different timelines. If we can, and that was the 12 Monkeys and all these different CERN-related timeline type of conspiracies that, if they could change certain things in our history, would that change our outcome? And you have different programs like The Man in the High Castle, which basically depicts if Nazi Germany would have won, then what would America look like? The West Coast is ruled by Japan, East Coast by Germany, and you have but I would say that after people became aware of Operation Paperclip, and you see the fallout from it to this day, that we have a very much of a fascist government in place, and we do not have fascism is just simply where corporations run the government or influence the government. And right now, the size, I think it is, Amazon's about to become the first $1 trillion company, supposedly. And they're basically saying that the age of, and we've seen this in sci-fi, if you're a fan of sci-fi, you've seen this for years, that governments disappear and corporations rule.
Well, it's a transition, and I've been kind of cognizant of this for a while. That if you remember your history, we went from the city state to the nation state, and I do believe we're moving towards a corporate state.